From the book, Life Lesson from Epic. The example of power scenario. An example of power is knowledge to the audience. When somebody shows you information, or you witness new information, it is an example of power from someone else's reality or point of view that you can use for your reality. An example of power is a sample, advice, instructions, facts, or opinion, and an idea from another reality. You may have witnessed or discovered something under your reality that allows you to have a new thought or a new way of thinking, which can be an example of power. When the occurrence of an example of power reveals itself in your reality, you can use it as a guide that can allow you to use it as a stepping stone to further your interest if it fits the criteria. The reason why I brought up this scenario, the example of power, is because it's an excellent way to start when strategizing. A good way of finding an example of power is by doing research, and a good way of finding key details of an example of power is to study the research with good effort. An example of power is like a gift if you can use it in your reality. It also can help you to spark up an idea, strengthen your wisdom, or it can be knowledge that you can use in your future. The example of power isn't just for a startup or a strategy, but an example of power can be used from the beginning to till the end of a strategy. When you get stuck in a situation or see things not going the way you didn't expect them to go, you still can do your research on the elements at hand, but it is better to do your research on the successful individual in a similar goal. This can improve your understanding and help fill up gaps that were left unattended. Having an epiphany, which is having a sudden insight or better understanding of something in your reality, is an example of the power that also can be used for furthering your goal. Epiphany doesn't often happen, and that's why I said to do your research rather than waiting on an epiphany that may never occur. Knowledge is power, and the best way to gather knowledge is by learning. I brought that up because when you prepare a strategy, you will learn something new which will guide you in the right direction. Reading books are good, but you need to read something related to your goal and don't only rely on one book, because there's a lot of books that are similar but have different views, which can be a worthy value to your strategy. An example of power is knowledge to the audience that is useful for a strategy if it fits the criteria of its use under your reality. All examples of power may not be good for you, so don't be deceived by one because it can be a con artist at work. There are a lot of clever fools that are good at deception, so be careful before wasting time with nonsense because it can be a mistake. Sometimes an example of power can be a scam or scheme that can benefit somebody else's reality but not so much beneficial for you. Also, the last thing I want to point out is that an example of power can be attractive, likable, and can be seen as a sign of some form of glory. So don't be a fool of being quick to copy somebody else's example of power without doing research, and at the very least, use your wisdom. From the book, Life Lesson from Epic by Meshock Ford, out now on Amazon.